Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining us. I hope you're enjoying all the content so far. A little bit of a different video for you today. It's the 3rd of January and myself being very new to YouTube, only been active in the last 6 months. I'm obviously seeing more videos and following more people within our industry. And I was very pleasantly surprised to see a few of the YouTubers slash resellers discussing turnover for 2024 across all their platforms. I was pleasantly surprised because I'd never seen anyone openly talk about that before. And it was amazing to see some of the figures that were popping up, particularly YouTube. I'll discuss that further in a second. So I was really it's really warming to see. It's really reassuring to see and hear. And it also gave me a little bit of a nudge and maybe, we are coming from a slightly different angle in terms of where our stock is coming from. We're not out actively all the time buying at car boot sales charity shops. We do that, but not as much as resellers. A lot of our stuff comes from our clearances. So I thought it'd be good for me to discuss a little bit about us and our businesses and our turnover to some of the platforms last year and how our service and system works. So if you've got a spare 10 minutes or so, sit back, listen. Whether it's just going to be helpful for you, informative, maybe some reassurance, maybe you just want to be nosy, which is also fine. Maybe you want to start your own clearance business or an antique shop. I don't know what it may be, but stick around and let's see what we can do. So let's just touch on a little bit of where my journey began, very briefly. 6 years ago, I left my job, walked out a week before Christmas, and I went and started a house clearance business. Previously, I was an estate agent. I used to be more interested in the contents inside the house than selling the house. I started a clearance business, which we know now as Clearance Crafters. That logo's always been the same, it's never changed. That's 6 years ago. The birth of Clearance Crafters happened. I always wanted to work within the probate sector, and I always wanted to carry out full house clearances as opposed to smaller rubbish jobs. 2 years after that, or 2.5 years after I started Clearance Crafters, so it'll be 4 years in April, I opened up Vintiques of Surrey. Vintiques of Surrey is our little antique shop. Vintage shop tucked away in the back streets of Surrey, in Kenley. Now this is where we're a bit different in terms of where our stock is coming from for our online platforms. Where we don't go out as much buying at car boot sales charity shops, we do it, but not as much. 80% of our stock in the shop comes from our clearances. 20% of our stock in the shop is stuff that we are buying directly from customers. Naturally, being an antique shop, we get people coming through the doors or messaging us on social media, offering their items for sale. So 80% from clearances, 20% is what we're buying directly from the public. When we do our clearances, we will provide a quotation, which is free. We will then point out items of interest that can go to the shop. Once we can identify the items of interest for the shop, we will then offer a reasonable reduction on those items against the cost of the clearance. For example, if a clearance is going to cost £1,000, we may offer £300 off, maybe more. We will offer £300 off, bringing the cost of the clearance down to £700. It's then fair for us and fair for our customer. Once the clearance is done, the items of interest come over to the shop, and the other items are then, at best, we avoid landfill as much as possible. So you would have seen our car boot sale videos. Lots of the stuff that isn't right for the shop goes to our car boot sales. Then we start our recycling process, recycling the wood, recycling the metal, and so on, in order to avoid landfill. I won't discuss too much now about Clearance Grafters and the turnover there because they are two very separate companies. Clearance Grafters is where I earn most of my living. My salary comes from Clearance Grafters mainly. Car boot sales are all over on the clearance side. All our garage and storage units are all over on the clearance side. Everything else comes over to Vintage of Surrey. Now at the shop, we have a team here full-time who are carrying out many things. Our shop is open to the trade and public 4 days a week, Wednesday to Saturday. We then have our online platforms such as eBay, Etsy, Vinted, and much more recently, YouTube, what you're looking at now. And as mentioned previously, I saw a couple of resellers talking about their online platforms and how reassuring it was for me to hear. One of them was discussing their turnover on YouTube, which I was extremely surprised at the high turnover for that person. It was hugely reassuring and it's made me extremely motivated. So after this video, I hope that this can motivate and reassure some other people. Now, whether that be that you're already doing this, whether it's you're a reseller, whether you're just a clearance company and you want to open up a shop or have those platforms, whether you're just a shop and you want to add a clearance company on, whatever it may be, the whole purpose of this video and my channel is to inspire, motivate and reassure people that no matter what background you have in terms of your education, you can do it. I'm proof of that. I left school with no GCSEs, completely lost in life, no path, no father figure to guide me through initially anywhere. So I was very, very lost. So it's amazing. I'm 40 this year and I found my thing in life 6 years ago when I started Clearance Grafters, and it's just gone on from there. So this is really why I want to be open about everything that you see in my channel. Will be a very, very raw insight and open insight into what I do, why I do it, how I do it. And this is, I feel this is a good thing for me to talk about, is a turnover on some of our platforms. So let's discuss what we sell on and what we turned over last year. Now, bear in mind that 80% of what comes in is from house clearances, the other 20% is what we buy. So although we are effectively buying at 80% because we're given a reduction, we're not directly purchasing it. And also that reduction is over with Clearance Grafters. At the end of each month, whatever our turnover is, 10% of that from Vintage of Surrey gets paid to Clearance Grafters, because our stock has to come from somewhere for our accounts perspective. Our stock can't just appear from nowhere. We don't just make money from nothing. So we pay 10% of our turnover each month goes to Clearance Grafters. So Clearance Grafters makes a little bit back from the reductions that we're giving, basically, effectively. I won't talk about our shop turnover purely because I don't know it at this precise moment. It's not as easy as clicking a button like you do on our platforms. It tells you what it is. It's so much more in depth to work out exactly what our turnover was for the shop. If I guessed it, it'd probably be between 40 to 50,000 for the shop alone. But more importantly, let's talk about our online platform. So our Vinted, we haven't been using that long. Vinted, we've had it nearly a yearly account, but we've not been very active on it. We've only been active on that probably 3 to 4 months. And our turnover in the last, mainly, in the last, just say 6 months, has been pretty good, £2,735.29, which I'm fairly pleased at, to be honest, because we haven't used it that much. We are certainly going to be using it a lot more this year. And we found it really positive. Like, people do want to offer really stupidly low offers on there. But I'd say overall, we're definitely achieving a better price for that on Vinted than we would on our other platforms with some of their stuff. And just to be clear, like in our shop itself, we only have 70s and earlier. So a lot of stuff going on Vinted, eBay, Etsy are generally items that are not right in terms of age for the shop, but far too good to just take to a car boot sale. That's kind of our bracket, is what we work with. So it's more modern stuff, generally on Vinted and eBay. Then we got Etsy. Etsy has been going now for about 3 years. Emily is in charge of our Etsy. Obviously, all the team here are not just sitting there like squirrels just doing Etsy and eBay. They have a huge involvement in the shop itself. Because we're open to the trading public and there are customers coming in quite often, so we need to deal with them as well as stocking the shop, cleaning the shop, so there's a whole another thing involved in this. Emily's here 3 days a week, covering our Etsy, and our Etsy turnover is £9,774.90 for the last year. So that generally stays around, I think last year it was like £300 more. 2023, so it generally stays around the 10 grand mark. I would like to see that improve, but this is after fees as well. It's not after tax. This is pre-tax, but post fees. So this is after our fees have been deducted. That's what we're getting. Then we move on to our eBay accounts, and eBay again. We've been going for around 3.5 years. Our eBay. Joe is in charge of our eBay as well as other things. And after fees, our turnover on eBay for last year was £28,550.74. So our eBay is obviously our biggest way of attracting our buyers and selling our items. Would I like to see that higher? Definitely. We are working on ways to improve that. But it's difficult because we've got stuff in the shop as well. We're not solely relying on eBay. So there's probably stuff that we have in the shop that potentially would get more on eBay, or it would sell quicker on eBay. Whereas some stuff in the shop will sit there for 6 months to a year because someone hasn't seen it or the right person hasn't come in. We are limited with our audience in the shop, which is why our online platforms are so good. But I'm still happy with those figures. It's still fine. Let me get down to YouTube. Now, YouTube, someone said, another reseller, said that their turnover last year, and they're fairly new. They've been going longer than us on YouTube, but they're fairly still new to it. They had 6,000 plus subscribers. And their turnover last year, I was just absolutely amazed at, was over £17,000. Their income from YouTube. And obviously, you've got far less overheads on YouTube. So I'm just sitting here. It's just my time. And some of my equipment, which isn't huge amounts. And I was just like, wow. I was just like, that's astonishing that you've turned over £17,000 on YouTube. Now, for us, we have only been active on YouTube for 6 months. We have only been monetized for 6 weeks on YouTube. So, it's super early days. I'm still finding my feet. I'm still trying to work out what content you want. And I know you love the car boot sale video, so there'll be loads more of them to come this year. But our turnover in the last since we've monetized in the last 6 weeks was £95 and 2p. But you know what? I am thrilled with that. I have put so much effort in to YouTube in the last 5-6 months that alone I am genuinely so pleased with, because although I put a load of effort into YouTube, it's not forced. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy doing this video right now, talking to you. So the enjoyment outweighs what I'm earning. I don't care if I only earn £100 a year. I enjoy doing it. But knowing the potential is there to literally earn a very, very, very good income from YouTube alone is just going to push me and drive me and motivate me so much this year to make this channel one of the best out there for our industry within the house clearance and antique industry combined. Our channel is going to be good. I'm going to work on it hard, I can assure you. So that combined total for last year comes to £41,155.95. Now that's just those 4 platforms alone. Now this is great for us to then see what will it be this time next year I reckon Etsy will stay there or thereabouts the same. Vinted will definitely increase. And I'm pretty certain that eBay will also increase. And then YouTube is definitely going to increase. If I can see us generating £4,000 to £5,000 for this year, I'll be ecstatic. So there we have it. They're the figures. Now, we also have to take into account our shop, which is 40 to 50,000, roughly. So no, we got a turnover there of between 80 to 90,000 pound just in our shop, just for Vintiques of Surrey. So that figure is nothing to do with clearance grafters, as I said before. That's purely the shop, but we do have to take into account our outgoings as well. You know, 80 to 90,000 pounds sounds super impressive, and it is, because it doesn't come for nothing. There's a lot of work to generate that money. But there's also a lot of money that has to go out to pay the team, pay our rent here, and everything on top. So I think we're somewhere around £5,500 to £6,000 a month, give or take, to basically keep us going here at the shop with staff and everything else, what have you. So we're probably anywhere between 60 and £70,000 per year is our outgoings, roughly, which leaves us with, you know, £10,000 to £20,000 profit generate. We have to pay tax as well. We're a limited company, so we have to pay corporation tax, which you don't have to pay for a sole trader, and then obviously tax on any of the profit as well from that. So there is a deduction still to come from that. But in that £5,500 to £6,000 a month, I do pay myself a very small salary, which is about £500 a month, because most of my income comes from clearance grafters. So I only pay myself a small salary from the shop just to make ends meet. And then at the end of the year, you know, what's left is left. And it's great because the shop's been going, as I say, nearly 4 years. Every single year we've been open, we've made profit. Every year, which is super good. You know, that's good to have a brand new business and make profit, albeit small profit, from the very, very beginning. It's still a profit. And it just puts us in a good place. And you know, it just makes... I would rather do this with that turnover, enjoying what I do, loving what I do, with so much potential to go so many different avenues with this, with everything what we're doing, that I'd rather do this than sitting in an office selling houses or recruitment, what I've done before, or whatever job it may be. Working for someone else, making them the money, where they're telling you what to do, and I'd much rather be my own boss doing this. And also, I've learnt so much from working for other people who tell you what to do, that my team, no, to a degree, I kind of just let them get on with it. I don't micromanage. I don't stand over them, telling them what to do. You know, they're such a good team. They know what they got to do, and they all do it in their own way, and it works. And that's the beauty of what I've learned of being a business owner and being an employer. You can't always have it your way. Not everyone works the way you work. There's so many more ways of doing something than just your way. So one thing I've learned is let people be themselves, and as long as the end result is there or thereabouts the same, that's all that matters. And it creates a far nicer environment, work environment, for us all, because we're allowing ourselves to be ourselves rather than having someone breathing down your neck all the time. That's my outlook on it anyway. So guys, I really, really hope that video has helped you in some ways. As I said before, I'm a normal person just doing something I love. That's all it's come down to. I found what I enjoy in life and I'm doing it. I've literally learned everything as I've gone along. I've made mistakes, but I've learned from them. along the way. I'm not very good for finance. That's why I have an accountant. So, you know, I enjoy and I'm good at everything else that I do within the business apart from finances, but that's absolutely fine. You can't be good at everything. But I really do hope, genuinely hope, that this video has helped someone, whether it be reassurance, inspiration, or just general motivation. Maybe you're doing a job that you don't like and you want to get into this industry or another industry, and this is going to give you the motivation to go and do that. If you do want to get into house clearances and you don't know yet, I have written a guide. This was nearly a year ago it released. It's about 11 months ago this got released. I spent 3 months writing this. It's a 15-page guide on how to start and successfully run your very own house clearance business. It's my exact process in here. It has absolutely everything from registering your business, creating your name, your logo, your website, to staff, the process, storage, gaining knowledge. It is all in here. It's currently in our sale over on Etsy, which is Etsy Vintage of Surrey. It's about £22 in our sale. I have sold so many more of these than I ever imagined in the past year. And the feedback has been amazing. So thank you everyone who has purchased this. And if you do want to purchase it, go over there and grab a copy. It'll be in a sale to at least the end of the month. And honestly, everything is in there. There's nothing like this out there. So there really isn't. There's nothing as detailed as within a specific sector industry out there. Yes, you can go and get those books that make me $1 million and whatever it may be, but this is the real deal, written by me, my exact process and how I've been successful in the last 6 years, starting from literally £200 in my bank to where I am now with both businesses. So guys, go and grab a copy. But in the meantime, thank you all for watching. I promise you there is going to be some amazing content appearing on this channel throughout the year. So please stay tuned for that. In the meantime, if you want to see any content, any ideas, ping the ideas below in the comments, and have a great day, guys. Thank you for watching.